And
Yeah, because you could do a lot with the Legacy of Goku, especially now. If you go for Dragon Ball, then you could do GT, you could do Super, you could do, well, now Daima as well. And then the remake, which is just going to be called Dragon Ball Super Beerus. So, yeah, the remake in Super.
are they really?
Yep.
Bar City, the place to be. Life's a madness, wild and free. Tune in now, let the good vibes flow. Bar City, your favorite show.
Welcome back to Bar of City, episode 103. I'm Eric.
Yeah, I'm Kevin.
So, this week we want to go, do a quick little recap of what we've been talking about with nine generations of gaming.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, quick recap. The quickest recap is probably the sixth generation is the best generation, and generation
Yeah.
two almost killed gaming. Um,
Yeah.
uh, had to throw in a little joke there.
I feel like most people probably agree with the Gen 2 thing, and depending on your age, I feel like quite a few people agree with Gen 6 being the best. So, or at least one
Yeah,
of the best. So,
yeah.
I've even heard some young people like uh nearly half my age, like early 20s basically, on YouTube, go back and play games from the sixth generation and admit that, it's like these are really great games, why don't they make games like these anymore?
Right.
And I was like, yeah, sometimes things are better in their time though. I'm not saying all games
Hmm.
from the sixth generation should just stay in their time, but like because I do think there's some things for modern day gaming that could learn from the sixth generation, but uh I don't think some of those games would work as well in a modern day setting. So
I don't know. I would love a modern day version of Infamous and what was the game?
excuse me.
You play as Alex Mercer, your prototype.
Oh yeah, Prototype. Yeah. Yeah, those games would probably work pretty well in a modern day setting, especially if you modernized just a couple of the mechanics. So,
A Jack
uh,
and Dexter would be great.
yeah, honestly, a much more open world version of Jack and Daxter would be because I mean the series is already like open ended, but like I'm talking about like a modern day version of open world would be a would be very interesting to see with a Jack and Daxter setting. So,
Yeah. I mean, you don't even have to do, be Jack and Dexter. You just be in that world as a whole new character, and
yeah,
because I
that
mean,
just
there's
takes
so
place in the same universe. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, the
I
whole
don't.
point of Jack is he wasn't raised by Jax. He wasn't raised by his actual kind, right? Or a very small group of them. He's
Yeah, I
kind of the
mean,
country bumpkin, right?
he wasn't raised in his own time, yeah, by his actual parents. He was raised mostly by Samos,
Yeah.
in the past, yeah. I don't know if I could ever see Naughty Dog fully. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Uh, I don't know if I could ever see Naughty Dog like making a full open world game like that. But I mean, I guess anything's possible. I'm not saying
I
they
mean,
couldn't do it because I think they could.
or
I don't know
even,
if they'd ever go that route.
I mean,
So,
even doing it to like the extent that Insomniac does
yeah, yeah.
would be cool, but like, there's so many games that need to come back from so many generations. I could think of a handful from almost any generation from six and back that would be amazing in a modern day setting with new technology. And because I would like for the Elder Scrolls to remaster and redo all their games, kind of like Final Fantasy's been doing.
Yeah. Yeah, of course they did it with that other studio, whatever they're called, did it with Oblivion. But yeah, it would be
Hmm.
cool to see them go back to like maybe Arena and like
Yeah.
do like sort of a remaster. I don't know if they'd ever do Daggerfall because that game's kind of ambitious, but I feel like you could do Arena fairly easily. You could like make a you wouldn't have to go too extreme with it. You could just like update the
Yeah,
graphics and
I
like
doubt they would
maybe
with Daggerfall just because the company that helped with it is making their own game now.
right, right. Plus Daggerfall, like it would be I don't know if I could see modern day Bethesda like try to pull off a modern version of Daggerfall. At least
Yeah.
not to the extreme that Daggerfall did with modern day graphics and stuff. But
It's
I could see Arena. I could see
hmm
Arena because Arena essentially the nothing's actually connected to one another on the map.
hmm
The map is essentially your selection screen. I could see like Bethesda doing that with modern day graphics. So I don't know if
I
people would
mean,
like
that's
that.
one reason I'm hoping that Fable comes out with such a huge success because, the Fable series is sixth generation.
Yeah,
I don't think, yeah, I think there's one game in the seventh, one or two games in the seventh generation,
yeah.
maybe.
And is the third one still part of the sixth generation? It's coming right off the end of the sixth generation, right?
Yeah, no, I think the second and third one are,
Or maybe they're seventh gen. Yeah,
yeah, they're six at the end of six for sure with the
yeah.
second one into,
It's a
because
little
I know I
it's a
played
little
them all
tricky.
on 360, so that's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to remember.
It's a
If
little
they were came
tricky
out,
with the with some game series because like it still feels like we were in the sixth generation, when we were playing some of these games. Like in Fable is definitely a good example of that. Like I remember playing Fable 2 for the first time and I would, we were still like in my head, we were still in the sixth generation, but technically we were going into the seventh at the time. So, so yeah,
yeah.
it's tricky with some of them. But yeah,
So
of
like,
course, the new Fable's coming out, and really excited for that game. So,
yeah, there's a lot of games. I mean, sixth and seventh generation for sure, especially early seventh, later
yeah,
seventh maybe not. Eighth, I mean, it's still eighth is last generation, so it's whatever.
yeah.
What games? Okay, so what games in the beginning, the seventh and the sixth? We've already discussed a handful, but what other would you like to see modernized with a new take or a new character within that world state? Because like technically they did it with Harry Potter with the new Harry Potter game. Because that I think the last Harry Potter game was on the seventh gen.
Yeah, probably. I don't
I
know.
can't
I haven't.
remember.
Yeah, I was
I
always kind
remember
of out of the loop on Harry Potter. So,
I remember playing one of the games on PS2, but I don't remember after that.
yeah,
Um, but those were all about, Harry, this is a retelling of, playing the movies and books, or they were like, Quidditch and shit.
yeah.
So and it did good. So yeah.
I could tell you one. I could tell you one Game Boy Advance game that from the
Oh.
technically the sixth generation comes to mind. We didn't go too in depth with Game Boy Advance, but we did touch on it a little bit. That I would love to see a modern day like. Still, I would still want it to be top down like 2D pixel art though. I wouldn't want it like I mean 3D would be fine, but they kind of
So you
already
mean
did
the
it with
Pixel remastered like they did with Final Fantasy 1 and all that?
yeah, something like that. Yeah. But like basically I want to see like another Legacy of Goku game. And they kind of did that with Kakarot, but that's 3D and I would argue some of the mechanics in that game have a different feel to it than
So
like
this is
Legacy of
where
Goku.
me and you're gonna
Mm.
differ because I don't.
Oh, you wouldn't want to see that?
So the reason being is honestly, I'm tired as much as the fucking Dragon Ball fanatic I am. God, I'm too. Me and my roommate spent fucking 4 hours fixing their goddamn timeline and plot holes. I'm that big of a fucking fanatic. I don't. I'm tired of the Goku stuff. I I've always been in the mindset that I wish people shut the fuck up and let Toriyama do what he's going to do after the Cell Saga, which was make Gohan and Goten the lead characters and not have Goku no more. Goku was meant to stay dead. It was supposed to be a whole new story with Gohan as the lead,
Yeah.
but that didn't happen because fans didn't like the Great Saiyaman saga. Fuck you. Anywho, so yeah, I'm kind of burnt out of it. I mean, we got Kakarot recently. I mean, Sparking Zero is just a retelling. Xenoverse 2, they're just retellings with your character fixing the timeline with some new threats or whatever. But it's still all about the same shit.
Yeah.
So
Uh, well, maybe a game like the only problem is it wouldn't be as popular. That's the only downside. But
yeah,
I was thinking maybe a game like Legacy Goku, but that's not Dragon Ball Z. Like you'd
I
have
would
a
love to see
made up
maybe
story.
do
Uh,
do it this, if we do that, I would love to see it maybe the Legacy of Trunks.
oh yeah, that would be cool.
Like
Like
actually play through Trunks's timeline of
yeah, like
because
take place in the future.
yeah,
Yeah,
because they showed a little bit in Legacy of Goku because it covers up into Cell Saga,
yeah,
and because Legacy of Goku 2 takes from the Great Saiyaman saga up to the Buu saga,
yeah. You mean
and
the yeah.
so just to do because you hinted at it, you know you watch Gohan die and Trunks go Super Saiyan in it. You had the cool epic music, but I would love to do that style just from Trunks' perspective, the entire thing, and then
Yeah, that would be
follow
cool.
follow a new storyline of when Trunks, after he went back to his timeline, defeated his androids. Because in the manga and the super manga hints at him facing Bibbidi and Deborah, and the Z
Oh,
sword
really?
getting turned to stone by Deborah. So you know his elder Kai died, but
Oh, that's yeah, that's actually would be really interesting to see.
yeah, all the way up to the
Uh,
Goku Black arc.
yeah. Now Legacy Goku 2 technically does start with future Trunks, like because they try to introduce the story of the androids at the beginning of the game,
I
where
thought it
that
was
you play
a Legacy
actually,
of
yeah,
Goku
you actually
one.
play as no, in one it ends with them defeating with Goku defeating Frieza.
Oh, okay, so that's where I separated it wrong. Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Trunks, yeah, he technically is the first character you play as in Legacy of Goku 2, but
Hmm.
only for like a couple of minutes. You do the tutorial stage in the future with him basically. Then
And
you
then
start
yeah,
with
Gohan
yeah,
dies, and
Gohan of course becomes the main focus. I mean, Legacy Goku 2 could almost just be called the Legacy of Gohan because it kind of feels like it is. And but you know, it probably the title wouldn't have sold as well. And
well, I
they sort
mean,
of do the
Legacy of
third Legacy, yeah, Goku 3 is not even called the third one. It's called Boo's Fury. So
oh yeah, that's right. Okay, so there
yeah,
was three games. I don't know why I missed that.
yeah, yeah. Of course, Boo's Fury takes place in pretty much the Great Saiyaman slash Boo saga.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, I would like to see more stuff, or like make a what if Gohan didn't become a pacifist version.
hmm
Like I would love playing Dragon Ball games if they led way more heavily into what ifs and altered the story depending on your choice.
hmm
Because Sparking Zero like played around a little bit with that. There was some outcomes, like one outcome you could do where you and Vegeta, Goku and Vegeta both end up Super Saiyan on Namek facing Frieza.
yeah,
Yeah, it was a cool little thing, but they didn't do a heavy enough of it. Like there's one alternate timeline that you can end up with
excuse
where
me.
Gohan's the one who becomes black. It's Gohan Black.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there's some cool little what ifs you can do in Sparking Zero. I mean, I don't know if they've added more into the story
Yeah,
mode with it over the past updates because I kind of got through a lot of it and just kind of quit. I got bored of the same thing over and over.
yeah.
But I would love a full what if in any version, like whether it be the Legacy of Goku style or actual 3D. I would love to shake things up a bit.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Now there is someone, I don't know if he's a one man band or if they're like two or three people, I'm not sure, but there's somebody working on a sort of a spiritual successor to the Legacy of Goku. It's a fan made game.
Okay.
And it's going to take place in the, I don't know if it's going to do the entire story arc or just parts of it or what, but it's going to take place during Dragon Ball where you play as Goku as a kid.
Ooh,
He's
that would be
calling
cool
it,
too.
yeah, he's calling it Legacy of Goku Origins. Yeah, I actually always said when I was younger that I was like, honestly, this type of game would probably make more sense taking place in Dragon Ball because
Yeah.
it's a little weird that you play as the Z Warriors, but they're being, having to fight against like some of these weak creatures and they can't fly anywhere they want. It's a little strange. But in Dragon Ball, that a lot, especially the first sections of it, that would actually make a lot more sense. A lot of those people that Goku fights and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, because you could do a lot with the Legacy of Goku, especially now if you go for Dragon Ball, then you could do GT, you could do Super, you could do, well, now Daima as well. And then the remake, which is just going to be called Dragon Ball Super Beerus. So yeah, the remake in Super.
are they really?
Yep. It's going to be
Hmm.
called Dragon Ball Super Beerus. Toyotaru is fully taken, of course, he's taken over since Toriyama's passing.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would love to see a pixel, because damn, that would actually look good on the Switch.
Yeah, it would. I mean, I know I've mentioned this on the podcast so many times. I just love pixel art so much.
Yeah.
It's just so mesmerizing for me to look at. I mean, I like 3D graphics too, but there's just
A,
something special about pixel art for me.
a
So,
game that a movie that they only had one game on that I remember for Game Boy. I played the fuck out. I told you, that's the one I traded for Legacy of Goku. That I would love to see in a 3D era, updated and everything, is doing the Spy Kids stuff.
oh, really?
Yeah, because it is Spy Kids 3D video game, but I don't remember them doing any of the
Hmm.
others.
Yeah, don't think they did. If they did, I went past me. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that could be resurrected and would be phenomenal. And again, they're trying just with I would love to see the Pac-Man City be refreshed.
Pac-Man. Oh, you mean Pac-Man World?
Yeah, I always call it
Yeah.
City because it's just
Yeah,
mostly in
well,
the
they
city is
did
what I
do
remember.
sort of a remaster of those games. I wouldn't call them remakes because it's just modern day graphics. But from my understanding, the game just plays almost exactly the same, just with some quality and life improvements. So, and sort of like what they did with uh Gothic. It is a remake, but I mean the game plays almost exactly the same, except with just quality of life improvements and better modern day graphics. So. And
Yeah.
Pac-Man World does the same thing. I think they just released Pac-Man World 2 actually like 5 or 6 months ago, something like that.
Hmm.
So I really hope they make a remake of the third one. I know a lot of people don't like Pac-Man World 3. Most people consider the second one to be their favorite, but like I like Pac-Man World 3. I thought it was really fun. So when I was like a young teenager playing that game. So I don't know if they'll do a remake of that one, but I hope they do because I would love to play that one. So hmm, hmm.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There's so
I'm
many
trying to think
games.
of, yeah, like less obvious games that I've
Hmm.
talked about so much because I keep wanting to talk about
I
like
would,
Jack and Dexter, but like
yeah, I
I've talked about that
mean,
already. So
I would like to see Dead Space brought back too.
oh yeah, yeah,
Instead of just remastering it.
yeah.
Yeah, BioShock's another one that would be good to keep
Hmm.
to bring more into. It sucks that they won't, but I would love for the people that made Left 4 Dead to be able to make another Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
Um, I wish, from the sixth generation another one would be good is for more Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic stuff.
Oh yeah.
Uh Metroid I do we have more any new Metroid stuff?
There's supposed to be another Metroid coming out for the Switch, but I don't think it's been officially like announced yet, but it's been teased, I guess. So,
Yeah. You know what? One that I'm surprised they haven't tried to Nintendo hasn't tried to milk again is Super Mario 64.
Yeah, they did that port over to the Switch, but yeah, they haven't actually done a full on, and they did that semi remake
Yeah,
for the DS back in the 2000s. But
because I know
yeah,
they've done
like seeing it with like Super
like
Mario
Mario Odyssey.
Odyssey
Yeah.
graphics and like modernize it a little bit,
Hmm.
make it to where things are just I don't know, just like mechanic wise, and maybe add some new stuff to it would be cool. So, of
Oh yeah.
course, that's fifth gen, but yeah, still the same. If we're tracking back to fifth generation, I would love to see another Bomberman, like
Oh yeah.
made in modern day time. So, I mean, that'll probably never
Um,
happen, but I would
I'd
love to
like an
see it.
actual straight up like 3D Castlevania.
Oh yeah,
Because like watching the when they made Castlevania the animated show, seeing it rendered like that and the movements, I'm like, ooh, I would love a fast paced fucking game playing as
oh man,
Trevor Belmont. Fuck. Like, a lot of these games we did get a lot of continuations from like the fifth generation because we got Tomb Raider, we got the Legend of Zelda stuff is being still done. I think we still get Metal Gear Solid stuff.
yeah.
Um, I would like to see an updated Banjo Kazooie, honestly, because
Oh,
I can play
I would love that.
I can play them remastered. I have access to them, but
Yeah,
I want to play like a brand new game in that series.
yeah. And the thing is it's actually from a doable perspective. It's actually
Hmm.
not, that much of a stretch to say, because Rare, they're still around. They're just owned by Microsoft.
Well, I
And
mean, like,
it's just they've been working on, of course, they've been doing the Sea of Thieves thing.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, them and they still own the IP for, Banjo-Kazooie. It's their IP.
yeah,
So
that's why I have access to
uh,
it. Is because it's on
yeah,
Game Pass and it stayed on Game Pass because well, they
yeah,
own it.
yeah, you got the Rare replay thing. And the only IP that they worked on with Nintendo that they can't carry over, of course, are the Donkey Kong games that they
Yep.
made. So,
Which I would love to
but
see them updating Donkey Kong stuff.
yeah, well, they released that Donkey Kong Bonanza or whatever on the Switch. I wouldn't say it's quite the same kind of game though that like Rare made, but it is a 3D Donkey Kong game
Mm.
technically. So,
Yeah, it's kind of hard to beat Rare because they did really phenomenal at Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong.
yeah.
Because like we get the new Crash Bandicoot for the last gen. Why not do a new Banjo-Kazooie? Again, I mean Banjo-Kazooie, Crash Bandicoot, Jack and Dexter, Ratchet and Clank. Those games, out of those four games, only two of them got a continuation in the previous generation. And they were
Yeah,
all, in my opinion, around the same type of games.
yeah.
So
Oh man. Yeah, let's see.
yeah, because I know Doom is technically it's older than fourth generation, isn't it?
I think Doom started in what, the third generation?
I know
It, l-
Doom
it could be a
uh
fourth generation game. I
with
never really thought about what year it came out.
'cause I know
Yeah,
Doom came I know there was a Doom in the fourth generation.
yeah, yeah.
And and again, all the Dooms of the modern time stuff, the upgraded stuff has been selling. There's
My
constantly
avatar's
games
being silly.
proving, yeah. There's constant proof that people want these old games in new ways.
Oh
Even if
yeah,
it's new characters in those worlds, a lot of it is just because we love those worlds.
yeah.
It's not
And
necessarily we're attached to the character.
yeah, yeah. Some of it for me is just sort of like me with Legacy of Goku. I mean, of course, I like Dragon Ball. I grew up playing, or grew up watching those shows. But really, my love for Legacy of Goku, a lot of it comes down to the mechanics and the way the game plays. Like I said, seeing the only problem is that again before, like it wouldn't be as popular. But seeing that type of game made with just made up
Hmm.
new characters, I would love to see that. So, but it's like again, probably wouldn't sell very well.
Yeah. Well, then you also got, I mean, I talk about the success, but there's some failures. Like, let's talk. I mean, I really don't want to talk about, but Silent Hill did not. They failed. Silent Hill is such an easy game world to work on, and the movies are still doing all right, decently, I guess. But which the new movie apparently, you get to find the origin of the Pyramid Head.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Like the Great Pyramid? Yeah.
No, the guy is they call it Great Pyramid? I just call him Pyramid Head. The big buff dude walking around with the metal
Oh,
pyramid thing on
okay.
his
My
head. Yeah.
my brain went completely somewhere else. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get to
I
see
told
his
you my
origin.
brain's not working today.
You get a glimpse at his origin.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's some games that just need a straight remaster into modern graphics, like, of course, any of the Zelda, like Breath of the Wild and all that.
Yeah.
Of course, all honestly, Halo Combat Evolved, the original Halo. I would love to see a modern graphic
Yeah.
version of
I'm
that.
honestly surprised that they haven't done that yet. It kind of
Right?
Halo 1 and 2 would easily sell extremely well if they did a complete like build up, with modern day graphics. So,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
Halo 3 as well. I mean, but especially the first two because those are of course the oldest ones. So, yeah.
But yeah, on the games aspect, there's a lot you can do with the previous generations of gaming, whether it be
Yeah.
whole new games in those worlds or just mechanics from those games that have died out that need to be come back. And like, I really love I think they called it the Nemesis system or whatever, something system for like Infamous, where
It's
depending
pretty,
on
yeah.
how you do things, depends on how your powers go from blue, red
Oh
lightning, and all
yeah.
that shit.
Yeah, I got what you're
That
saying. Yeah.
stuff, yeah, that shows up every once in a while, but that needs a big overhaul and brought to more games, especially
Yeah.
MMOs.
Yeah. Or yeah, honestly, open world games in general, a mechanic like that would flow really well in
That's
a
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's why I'm so excited for the Fable. Is they're taking some of that old stuff from other games, their own stuff, and
Yeah,
making it even bigger with incorporating it with the NPC's AI to respond to you certain ways.
right. Really trying to create a a feel or a purpose to why you would make this decision over that decision other than oh, it would be curiosity or whatever. Like there's actually a point and a purpose that leans in with that mechanic. So a consequence maybe is the word I'm looking for. Jeez, it's 100 degrees outside.
Yeah.
That was random.
All
That's just the way my brain works sometimes.
right. So, like
Uh,
it's a quick recap, right, of just the consoles and the industry itself. Because the first generation was 1972 to 1983, was the dawn of the interactive TV. Major consoles you had Magnavox Odyssey, Atari Home Pong, Coleco Telstar, Nintendo Color TV game. The core technology integrated circuits with hardwired games built directly into the hardware. Defining shift introduced interactive video games to the general public using basic dots, lines, and physical screen overlays. Basic, simple, Gen 1.
yeah,
When we get the second generation, which was 1976 to 1991, so an overlap there because the first generation technically didn't end until 1983. So that's kind of the common thing. There's always going to be a lot of interlaps between the generations, but I think they did that. I
yeah.
think they done it on purpose.
Generations back then are really tricky because technically the concept of a gaming generation didn't exist yet.
Hmm.
That was something that we came up with a little later after those came to an end. So
Yeah.
so there's a lot of overlap with some of those older generations. So mm,
Yeah. But that introduced the cartridge and the industry crash, which, we've talked about multiple times. The major consoles at the time was the I can't even speak apparently. Atari 2600, Fairchild Channel F, Mattel Intellivision, and the ColecoVision. Core technology, they had the microprocessors and swappable ROM cartridges instead of being built in like previous generation. The defining shift allowed users to buy individual games rather than a single game machine. Oversaturated and low quality software led to the disastrous 1983 North American video game crash.
yep.
Yep.
Not enough high quality games and too much crap coming out, pretty much. Yeah.
We're kind of doing that now.
I would say that, yeah, well, yeah, still a little bit now, but in my opinion, I would say that was extremely common in the eighth generation. It just felt like
Yeah,
there was just so
not
much
enough.
of, yeah, of just like stale and repetitive games, in my opinion. And then, but some things seem to be turning around now. So,
Yeah, and then we have almost everyone's favorite era, the third generation, from
oh yeah,
1983 to 2003.
it's not my favorite, but it's definitely one of them. So,
Yeah, because this is the 8-bit resurrection era, as they would
yeah,
like to, a lot of people call it. Because the major consoles at the time was the savior of the consoles, which now they're kind of almost the killers of the system.
yeah,
Nintendo Entertainment System, the
it's
NES.
crazy the 180 turn that happened there. Yeah.
Yeah, just 6 generations later.
Yeah.
um, then we have the Sega Master System and the Atari 7800.
Yep.
The core technology here was the 8-bit microprocessor and the side-scrolling hardware capability.
Oh.
So we got our Mario and blah 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 blah. The defining shift, Nintendo single-handedly resurrected the market with strict quality controls and iconic franchises like Super Mario Bros. And The Legend of Zelda. Dominance shifted entirely from the US to Japan.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the reasons I'll get on in a little bit, right? Is I like Microsoft is because after the third generation, so many console companies are all Japanese.
Yep.
And
Gaming
for
studios too. There were a lot
yeah,
of
yep,
a lot more popular Japanese gaming studios than American ones.
yep.
So, yeah.
So Microsoft coming in and doing the Xbox was very honestly good for American gaming, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh, Ernie. And then the fourth generation, which was 1987 to 2004, was the 16-bit Sonic and Mario Wars.
Yep.
Major consoles at the time was Super Nintendo, the SNES, Sega Genesis, TurboGrafx 16, and the Neo Geo. I
Yeah.
do like Neo Geo. It almost sounds like a comic book character or like a maybe a pocket monster. Neo Geo.
It does. Yeah, I never really thought about that before.
Probably because like Geo Dude and the Neon
Yeah.
Genesis. So you
Neo
put those
Geo. Yeah.
together, Neo Geo.
Yeah. Which that title, that name makes perfect sense for that time, especially. So,
Yeah.
mm,
The core technology, this is, get the 16-bit microprocessors, the parallax scrolling, and the multi-button controllers. The defining shift fears corporate competition fueled by aggressive marketing. Sega does what don't. Nintendo don't. I
Nintendo.
Yeah, my brain tries to separate that. This era also established the handheld market via the original Nintendo Game Boy.
Oh yeah.
So we could probably talk a little bit in this recap because you mentioned it when we were talking about the fourth generation and a little bit before that. And we never actually got into it on the fourth. But you want to talk a little bit
Yeah,
more about
we
the
sort of ran out of time, or just felt like, it would just drag on too long, like we needed to move on, basically. Yeah, I mean, I was mostly referring to like the Genesis commercials, I think was what I was sort of leaning into when we
Mhm.
decided it was probably best to just go ahead and move on. But yeah, from my understanding, those commercials, they led it to the producer that makes commercials at that time. They basically told him that they wanted it to be very in your face kind of like commercials, but from my understanding, they didn't quite mean it to be that extreme that it turned out to be. But the guy
Uh,
just sort of ran with it. So,
I mean, you say in
and
your
that's,
face, so
yeah.
like,
Well, yeah, but I saw some interviews on it, and they were like, "Yeah, we didn't actually think it'd be quite that extreme," but they were like, they admitted when they saw it, they loved it. They loved how like very, calling out like Nintendo it was. So, but they really that was not necessarily their intention, from my understanding, to be quite that far with it. But the
they
guy
didn't
was
want to
just
be
like,
that
"Okay, well, if you want it in your
aggressive.
face, like this is what you're gonna get." Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He came out with that Nintendo like sort of thing, and then when Nintendo was starting to lead up more in sales with the Super Nintendo, they approached him again, and that's when he like basically just made up the term like blast processing, and it worked really well. So, because they realized that they had their gigahertz processor was just slightly, barely faster than the Super Nintendo, and so
Yeah.
they took that and ran with it, and they're like, oh, we have blast processing, and Nintendo has horrible, clock speed, on their console.
Uh, I love it.
Yeah. That's the nature
Yeah.
of marketing right there. Yeah.
Yeah, one of these days we will definitely get into just breaking down like console wars and like just straight up the disrespect in commercials at one someday. Like that would have to be like a full because God, were there so many commercials by so many companies that was
Yeah.
so disrespectful to each other.
Commercials.
Phone
Yeah,
companies.
commercials back in the 80s and 90s were crazy, in all honesty.
Yeah, we'll have to make a session just on that
Yeah.
because you got phone commercials, how they were against each other. Hell, even insurance companies get on that, you know?
hmm I
Like,
remember fast food commercials being like that
yep.
sometimes. Like they'd
Hmm.
knock each other's brand a lot. Maybe not quite as in your face as like what Sega did to
Yeah.
Nintendo, but like it was obvious who they were talking about. That, it's like they were like, oh, you that other
Especially
burger
Jack
place
in the
that you like
Box.
to
Jack
go
in the Box
to.
was
Yeah.
bad. Jack in the Box is bad about it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But like the dude literally rips off his sleeves and he's jacked and he's like, you want to fight me about it? I'm like, God damn, okay. But but anyways, and then we get into the fifth generation from 1993 to 2006 was the 3D and CD-ROM revolution. And this is where Sony, not Sony, but Nintendo screwed up was, the fight with Sony. Because I would have loved to
Yeah.
have seen what, Sony Nintendo would be like. I kind of want to
That
travel
yeah,
the
that would
multiverse and find
yeah,
that one.
somewhere out in another universe. Yeah, that would be really interesting to see, like where they would still be at today. Would they, I presume
Hmm.
once they made a merger, they'd probably still be together. There's really no
Yeah.
reason to believe that they wouldn't. So, uh, unless some other,
Hmm.
unless it's one of those domino effect things where that one decision like led to tons of other different things
Yeah.
happening. In that universe, like, 9/11 never happened, and all because of that
Yeah.
one thing.
But yeah, the major consoles at the time is the Sony PlayStation, Nintendo 64, and the Sega Saturn. The core
Yeah,
technology of this era is the polygonal 3D graphics, analog thumbsticks, and massive CD-ROM storage. Defining shifts, Sony entered the hardware space and quickly dethroned Nintendo. Games moved completely away from the flat 2D sprites into immersive 3D spaces.
yeah. It's actually crazy the popularity that the PlayStation got, where the way it just swooped in and just like dominated the entire market. So like it seemed
Hmm.
like it was such a breeze for them. They're like, oh, this is how you do it right here. You know.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, there's like there's a lot of stuff in these eras that are freaking entertaining to go back and been researching on it. And then you got
Yep.
the sixth generation, which was from 1998 to 2013, which is the high definition online foundations.
Yeah.
The major consoles at the time was the Sony PlayStation 2, Nintendo GameCube, Sega Dreamcast, and the introduction to Microsoft Xbox.
Oh yeah.
The core
I kind
technology of
of
this era is
oh no, go ahead.
go ahead.
I was just gonna
Ah.
say sometimes I view the sixth generation in some ways like the fifth generation 2.0,
Yeah.
because there some of these ideas and like some of these games that like people look back on like, oh, I can't, this was mind blowing at the time, some of these they were already attempting to do that in the fifth generation, but they were coming up just a little bit short because the technology just wasn't quite there yet. But then finally, here comes the sixth generation, and now they have the technology they need or mostly need to pull off a lot of these things that they were already trying to do anyway. So
Yeah.
that's why sometimes I look at the sixth generation sometimes from that angle, like the fifth generation 2.0. So yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame you on that because I mean the core technology at the time, it's 168-bit eternal architectures. You get the standard DVD playback and built-in Ethernet slash modem ports. So
yeah.
like, I mean, it wasn't much, but the biggest shift of this entire generation would have to be is, Sega withdrawing from the hardware market due to financial loss.
Oh yeah.
And of course you
Again,
got
going back to the universe thing, it would be very
Mhm.
interesting to see what it would be like if Sega somehow, man, like
Pulled
maybe
it
their
off.
sales would have done much better even after the PS2 came out or something. If they would have continued in the hardware market, it would be very interesting to see where
Hmm.
uh that would be like today.
And you got, Microsoft entering the space with the Xbox. The PS2 became the best-selling console of all time, moving
Yep.
over 160 million units. Woohoo! Go PlayStation.
Also the
Even though
greatest
I'm a Microsoft
console
guy
ever
now.
made, in my
Yes.
opinion.
Sony? What the fuck went wrong with you guys? Like, come on. Um, and then we enter the era that I honestly had the least amount of experience in, just because I was PC Master Racing it.
Yeah.
The seventh generation, and the 2005 to 2017, you get the high definition and motion controls. The major consoles now is just the big three: Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and Nintendo Wii.
Yeah.
I should say the new big three, because we got one generation of a new big, which is funny, right? You get it. We got one generation of a set big three, which is just PlayStation, Nintendo, and
Yeah.
Sega. Then literally
Yeah,
the
that
following
was really
generation,
yeah. Even in
Xbox
the
comes
sixth
in.
generation, even though we have four consoles, like most people remember it for the three. But yeah, with the sixth and seventh generation, like having like four, three to just only three, and then in the sixth generation, four
Hmm.
consoles that a lot of people look back up on as like great, all of them being great consoles was kind of the first time that it ever really happened. Because before that, like we had various other consoles, but then there was some of those consoles being the ones like, yeah, no one cares about that one,
But something
But
I
this is the
also,
first time where it's like all of them are looked
mhm,
back as and
yeah.
regarded highly. So
But what's funny is something I looked right. The third generation, we had a big three. It
yeah,
finally made our first big three. We had a big four in the second generation,
yeah,
and
sort of,
which of
yeah.
course you had a bunch of mini ones. That was the problem. But then we ended up having a big three because, of course, ColecoVision, all that, some of them backed out. So you had just the Nintendo Entertainment Center, Sega Master System, and the Atari blah, 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 7800. So in the third generation, we have a big three. We have three and three.
Yeah.
The fourth generation, we have four because TurboGrafx 16 and Neo Geo joined up, came in against Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. So
Yeah.
we actually have a big four in four, and then we're back to three in the fifth generation, and then immediately in the sixth generation, Microsoft came in, and then Sega died, and now we're stuck at a big. Now we just have the big three from the seventh on.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
never really thought about that before. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because in the seventh generation, of course, height of it, the major consoles were the 360, PS3, Nintendo Wii's, like I said. The core technology was the HD resolution 720p slash 1080p, digital storefronts, wireless controllers, and motion tracking. Woohoo! That wasn't actually that good, but still entertaining.
Yeah.
Uh, the defining shift to this generation, was the digital gaming, downloadable DLC, and robust wireless marketing networks like Xbox Live became standard. Nintendo Wii uh, disrupted the market by appealing to mainstream casual audiences using motion control.
Yeah.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing, but again, Nintendo, you keep falling short for some reason lately. Honestly, from seventh generation until like the till this generation, and then the first half of this generation, I should say, and then technically, Nintendo Switch is a weird one because it's technically eighth and ninth generation,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah. Yeah, it's considered to be ninth, but it technically does start at that very tail end of the eighth generation. So
yeah, because in the eighth generation, what I got on the list is, of course, 2012 to 2026, because they're still having the previous generation is still around.
yeah.
Technically, we're all in the ninth generation, but of course, you still have the Switches, you still have the Xbox Ones. They are just now slowly stopping to make games for the previous, so we're about to hit that massive switch which was this year of Xbox not doing anything for the Xbox One anymore and all that.
Yeah.
But it has, of course, the PS4, the Xbox One, Nintendo Wii U, and the Nintendo Switch at the beginning. And the core technology of this generation was the x86 PC processor architect, 4K video output, early cloud gaming, and flash memory integration. Defining shift emphasized integrated social sharing, high speed streaming, and interactive mid generation hardware refreshes like the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. Nintendo completely pivoted console designs by merging home and handheld systems into the hybrid Nintendo Switch. Yeah, I think the reason Nintendo Switch came out so quick at the S end of the eighth instead of just being ninth straight is probably because of the decline in the Wii U sales.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
So they had to
Because
pivot real quick.
I still remember when that was, first was happening, that like year right before the Switch was announced, or before they announced a new console. They didn't even say what it was at first. I remember back then because they were like talking about trying to do anything they can to try to up the sales of the Wii U. They kept, uh, trying different marketing strategies
Hmm.
and stuff like that, trying to get more games ported over and blah blah blah. And then finally, I remember that year they were like, "Oh, Nintendo finally officially announced that they basically were no longer going to support the Wii U anymore because now apparently they have a better idea." I remember reading that online. I was like, "Okay," you know. And
Yeah,
then
and
I think it was like a year after that was when they were like, "Oh, here's the Switch," and I was like, "Oh."
which it was a better idea. I
Yeah,
like the
from a
Switch.
commercial point of view, do not blame Nintendo at all for going the Switch route. So it is definitely much easier to market that thing and makes a lot
Hmm.
more sense for gaming and stuff like that. But for me as a Wii U fan, it is a little sad that the Wii U never did. But in all honesty, if Nintendo would have tried to continue with the Wii U, I feel like they would have just been kicking a dead horse. I just don't really
Hmm.
see anything that would have happened. Even if they would have tried to be like, well, let's make another version of the Wii U and make it more powerful, I don't know if it would have worked as well as the Switch. Probably not. So,
No, because the reason the Switch I think works so well is, and I want to talk about it a little bit more because we didn't talk about it because I mean the Switch is self-explanatory because the Switch is
mhm.
great. I fucking
Just
love the
looking at it
Switch.
right away, you know exactly how the thing works. You're just
Yeah,
like, oh, like I remember when they first advertised it, it's like you immediately just knew, oh, this is like like a full-on console, but handheld, and you can dock it into TV mode. Like I get
yeah.
it, you know. The Wii U, on the other hand,
It's
not so much.
no,
Yeah,
it's so great. I do love the Switch. I will, even if I don't
yeah,
play it actively or rarely, I'm never gonna get rid of my Switch. Never.
yeah,
Because here's the thing about Nintendo stuff is you can always get the games for it. And every game for the Switch is all I can just go to Game Exchange or GameStop, and they will always have the cartridges.
yeah.
And that's because, well, it's the most popular thing for families, because you can have your kids, you can play it on the TV, and then if you gotta go, you can just undock it and they can play it in the fucking car and be quiet.
Oh yeah.
But
Play
then
it
you
in the
get
car and be quiet. I love that. Here, play the
I,
Switch. Be quiet.
it kind of irritated me that she was right, but this friend of my brother's, we were over there eating food a couple weekends ago with him because he grilled some fajitas, delicious. My brother's a good cook, and she's like, because her son came in and he's like, "Can I play on the Switch?" She's like, "Yeah, go ahead. You're done. You ate all your food. You can go ahead and play on it." And she
Yeah,
looked at me and my wife and was like, "That is the best babysitter I've ever gotten."
the Switch.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I hated that she was probably right. Like, uh, okay,
Honestly, like small devices and tablets in general are great for little kids. Why do you think they're named the iPad generation? Like, because the
right?
parents realized, oh, it's actually very convenient to just give them this small device and then they can entertain themselves. And it's easy for them to use too, because it's like, it's small and they can hold it in their hands easier. So, same thing
Yeah,
with I'm sure the Switch is the same way. It's easy for them
yeah,
to just, jump right into it. So,
yeah. And it has all the parental controls out the
mhm,
wazoo on them, so you
yeah,
don't ever have to worry. But I think a lot of that came from the fact that parents wanted to watch something on the TV. They didn't want to, or they wanted to play their own game. They didn't want to deal with their kids. So they gave them that. The kids would watch it on that, and they could still have their time on their TV.
yeah.
But now we're into the final generation that we're currently in. Whenever I don't know when it'll end because it's been going for
Whee!
6 years. But
It'll end when it ends. Yeah.
yeah, it had honestly. I think this generation had one of the most rockiest starts of any generation,
Oh God. But some of
just
that was
because of
situational because of COVID. Yeah.
COVID
So
and
mm,
uh, then of course they had to jack up the price because of different political things, putting making parts for
yeah.
their stuff more expensive and
Yeah. The rise of AI kind of jacking up the
yeah,
prices of some things too. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
had it not been for a lot of those things, yeah, the start probably would have been very a lot like the start of the eighth generation, not very like very much smoother, but also not like much to talk about really. It's just kind of like, yeah, they announced it and then released it and we went off, you know.
yeah.
So, but yeah,
But
because of all those situations, yeah, definitely creating
mhm,
a lot of problematic things. So,
yeah. Which, of course, the major consoles everyone knows: PS5, Series X and S, and the Nintendo Switch 2. Which Nintendo Switch 2 I don't like just because of not because of the console itself. The console itself is phenomenal. It's the shit that Nintendo's done with it. Like the extra shit, like you can't do voice chat. Now that they've added voice chat, unless you buy the subscription.
yeah.
Fuck you, Nintendo. I loved you. Why'd you do this? You're like a wife I've been married to for 30 odd years, and you're finally caught you cheating on me with your Pilates instructor. What the fuck?
Honestly, any horrible decision Nintendo makes nowadays never surprises me anymore. I'm like,
God.
every time a new announcement's like, "Oh, Nintendo's doing this now," I'm like, "Yeah, what else is new?"
It
So,
doesn't surprise me, but it still always
yeah,
disappoints me
yeah.
because I have hope. Because I
You're too
love
naive with
Nintendo.
Nintendo. You
Like
gotta,
I love Xbox and I love PlayStation. Of course, I'm probably going to
yeah.
end up going to PC soon, and I can just emulate everything. Fuck you, fuck you. You know, I'll steal all your stuff.
That's what you get, Nintendo.
But like, I want my childhood to still do good,
Yeah,
and I love Japan. So like, fuck you, Japan, for being stupid in all your gaming stuff lately. I'm talking about
yeah,
you too, Sony.
yeah. Honestly,
Um,
some of the decisions they've been making, they're not too far behind Nintendo, really. So,
nope. Microsoft is lagging behind them all three. They're still not innocent, but
yeah. Well, none of these companies have ever, I would say, would
oh
ever
hell
be
no,
innocent. But yeah,
no.
yeah,
But anyways, the core technology of this current generation is the ultra fast NVMe SSDs. The hardware
yeah,
accelerated by ray tracking, tracing up to 8K resolution and high frame rates, 120 FPS. Again, the reason the last episode we didn't talk hardly about the console is yeah, when it does, even though it has great technology, that's all it has. It's just
yeah,
didn't introduce anything new. It just upgraded what was the older stuff and made it better, which great. That's what I love. But now my attention is on games and what the game mechanics can you do now with this better, faster graphics and
yeah.
processing speed. The defining
I'm over here
shift,
laughing.
yeah. Eliminated legacy game loading screens entirely via mass SSD throughput. The lines between PC and console gaming is blurred heavily due to crossplay simulation. La, 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 la. Simultaneous digital game launches and the mainstream explosion of PC handheld devices. Yeah. And that's pretty much the game
Oh yeah,
generation
I
so far
never
in a
really.
nutshell.
I've kind of forgot about the whole handheld PC things. Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't talked about the Steam Deck because
yeah,
I mean it's just basically the Switch.
yeah. Sort of. There are some benefits to it. The only problem
I mean the
is
Steam
obviously,
library.
yeah, yeah. And plus, you also get the benefit of using it just essentially like a straight up computer.
Yeah.
Like you can hook like a keyboard, mouse to it, and just and and to a monitor and everything. The only downside to it, of course, is not as quite as powerful as like a PC you could get. But you know, there are benefits, pros and cons. But it's not the Steam Deck isn't the only one. There are actually other computer companies making
Yeah.
those too, like making cheaper models of it. I think of these
But why would you want to
handheld
get a cheaper model for something that's already
game.
less, that is not as good as your PC currently is if you have a PC.
Yeah, because
And
people are cheap and they don't know what they're doing
yeah,
when they're making purchases. They're like, oh,
true.
this one's.
But
Some people
also
think to lower the price automatically, like, oh,
that's
this is a
also
better,
what almost
smarter
killed
purchase.
that's what killed gaming in in North America. Overflooded market with cheap ass shit.
Yep. Oh, freak! Something bit me.
Well, with that being said, that was the generations of console gaming 1 through 9. Woo! Yay! Comment down below which generation is your favorite, which console is your absolute favorite of any generation, one that you would slap your mama to get back if you don't have it. And with that being said, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and all that jazz, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Welcome to the city where chaos thrives. Kevin and Eric keep people alive. Random talks and stories collide. Park City Anthem, let's take a ride. Park City, the place to be. Laughs and madness, wild and free. Tune in now, let the good vibes flow. Park City. Bar City, the place to be. Laughs and madness, wild and free. Tune in now, let the good vibes flow. Bar City, your favorite show. Eric drops a pun, Kevin rolls his eyes. Stories take off, reaching the skies. They'll talk about things you didn't foresee. In Bar City, it's all comedy. Bar City.